You can feel it even if you can't explain it. Something is changing in your soulmate's world. The silence between you is not emptiness, it is transformation in progress. While you wait for a message, destiny is rewriting their identity. Your soulmate is not disappearing, they are becoming who they were meant to be for you. Now understand this deeply. When a soulmate undergoes a silent transformation, it rarely looks dramatic from the outside. There are no loud confessions, no public declarations, no obvious signs that scream change, but internally there is a profound shift taking place that even they may struggle to fully articulate, because transformation at the soul level does not begin with words, it begins with discomfort, with restlessness, with the quiet realization that the old version of them no longer fits the future they are being pulled toward, and right now your soulmate is in that in-between space where who they were is slowly dissolving and who they are becoming is still forming, and this stage can feel confusing, isolating, even emotionally overwhelming for them, because growth demands honesty and honesty demands that they face parts of themselves they once avoided, patterns they once justified, fears they once hid behind. And the reason this process is silent is because deep internal work is not something people broadcast, it happens in late-night thoughts, in reflective moments after conversations, in sudden waves of clarity that make them question everything they thought they wanted, and you may notice subtle signs such as a change in their tone, a shift in their priorities, a new level of introspection in their words, or even temporary distance that feels unexplained. But distance during transformation is not rejection, it is recalibration, it is the soul stepping back to rebuild its foundation so that when it moves forward it does so with stability rather than impulse, and your soulmate is beginning to understand that love is not about intensity alone but about consistency, not about excitement alone but about emotional safety, not about ego validation but about mutual growth, and this realization is reshaping them from the inside out. Because perhaps in the past they operated from fear of vulnerability, fear of commitment, fear of not being enough, and those fears created walls that even they did not fully recognize. But transformation dismantles walls brick by brick, and sometimes that dismantling feels like loss before it feels like liberation. They may be losing old habits, losing toxic attachments, losing interest in superficial connections that once distracted them, and as those layers fall away they are left alone with their authentic self. And that confrontation can be uncomfortable because authenticity requires responsibility, it requires them to admit where they were inconsistent, where they hesitated, where they allowed pride to speak louder than love, and during this silent transformation they are replaying memories, analyzing conversations, recognizing the depth of what they felt for you, and understanding that what you offered was not ordinary, because soulmate connections awaken something rare, something undeniable, something that lingers even in silence. And as they evolve they are becoming more emotionally aware, more spiritually aligned, more intentional about who they allow into their energy, and this is not coincidence, it is alignment. Because a true soulmate union can only thrive when both individuals have reached a level of maturity that can sustain it, and perhaps you have been growing too, strengthening your boundaries, learning patience, focusing on self-worth, and that parallel growth is part of the same energetic design. Because when one soulmate transforms, the other feels it, sometimes through intuition, sometimes through dreams, sometimes through an unexplainable sense that something is shifting behind the scenes, And what is shifting is their identity. The version of them that once ran from depth is being replaced by someone who craves it. The version that feared vulnerability is being replaced by someone who understands that vulnerability is strength. And this process cannot be rushed because rushed growth is unstable growth. So the silence you experience now is sacred. It is the cocoon phase before emergence, and inside that cocoon they are confronting insecurities, healing childhood wounds, questioning past choices, and redefining what partnership truly means. And as they do this, their perspective on you is also evolving. They are seeing you not just as someone they care about but as someone who represents a higher standard of connection, someone who challenges them to rise. Someone who mirrors their potential rather than their comfort zone, and mirrors can be intimidating. Because they reflect both light and shadow, but transformation requires both, and slowly they are integrating their shadow, forgiving themselves for past mistakes, releasing guilt, releasing regret, and choosing to become better rather than remain stuck. And when a person chooses growth internally, the energy they emit changes externally. Their words become softer yet more confident. Their actions become more deliberate. Their presence becomes more grounded, and when they return fully into your life, it will not feel like a continuation of the old chapter but like the beginning of a new one, because they will not be the same person who once hesitated. They will be someone who understands the value of what almost slipped away, someone who recognizes that true love is rare and must be nurtured. And until that moment arrives, your role is not to force progress but to trust timing, to continue your own evolution, to remain open yet unattached to outcomes, because soulmate transformations are guided by forces deeper than surface logic. They unfold according to lessons that must be learned individually before they can be shared collectively, and what feels like delay is often divine preparation. What feels like silence is often spiritual construction. What feels like uncertainty is often the dismantling of fear. And if you look closely, you will realize that even in absence there has been subtle movement, subtle realizations, subtle energetic shifts that are aligning both of you toward a more stable, mature, and conscious union. And when the transformation completes, it will not need dramatic proof. You will sense it in the steadiness of their communication, in the clarity of their intentions, in the absence of mixed signals, in the confidence with which they choose you. Because a silently transformed soulmate does not return halfway, they return whole. And the journey they are undergoing right now is shaping them into someone capable of loving you not just with passion but with purpose, not just with words but with action, not just in moments of convenience but in seasons of challenge. And that is why this silent transformation, though invisible to many, is one of the most powerful phases of your shared destiny, because it is turning potential into readiness, emotion into commitment, and connection into something that can truly last. And as this silent transformation continues to unfold within your soulmate, there is an even deeper layer of change taking place that goes beyond surface habits and reaches into the core of their identity, because transformation at this level is not just about becoming a better partner but about becoming a more authentic human being. And authenticity requires them to strip away expectations they once carried, roles they once played, and masks they once wore to impress, protect, or control outcomes. And now those masks feel heavy, unnecessary, almost suffocating, because when the soul begins to awaken, it rejects anything artificial. And your soulmate is starting to feel that rejection internally. They are questioning why they once entertained connections that lacked depth, why they tolerated dynamics that drained them, why they hesitated when their heart quietly recognized something real with you. And these questions are not casual thoughts, they are catalysts. They are the sparks igniting a deeper awareness that is reshaping how they perceive love, commitment, and themselves. And during this phase they may withdraw not out of indifference but out of introspection, because introspection demands solitude. It demands space to think without outside influence, space to feel without distraction, space to confront uncomfortable truths without performance. And what they are confronting is the realization that real love requires emotional courage. It requires consistency even when fear whispers to run. It requires vulnerability even when pride suggests silence. And in the past, pride may have been their shield, independence may have been their defense mechanism. Detachment may have been their way of avoiding potential heartbreak, but now those defenses are cracking because the connection they share with you has exposed the limitations of those strategies. It has shown them that safety is not found in avoidance but in alignment, and alignment begins within. So they are aligning their thoughts with their feelings, their actions with their intentions, their desires with their values. And this alignment process can feel like chaos before it feels like clarity. Because dismantling old belief systems is rarely smooth, it can bring moments of doubt, waves of guilt, flashes of regret for opportunities not fully embraced. And yet even those uncomfortable emotions serve a purpose. They soften the ego, they awaken gratitude, they cultivate humility. And humility is essential for sustainable love, because without humility there is no accountability, and without accountability there is no growth. And your soulmate is slowly embracing accountability not because someone forced them to but because internally they no longer want to operate from a lower version of themselves. They are beginning to crave depth over distraction, substance over surface, peace over chaos, and in that craving they are recognizing that what they felt with you was different. It was not just attraction, not just timing, not just convenience, it was resonance, and resonance lingers even in silence, it echoes in quiet moments, it resurfaces in memories. It appears unexpectedly in dreams, and these echoes are guiding them back to the truth of what they feel. But before they can fully step toward that truth, they must ensure that the version of them approaching you is capable of sustaining it, because a soulmate union built on half-healed wounds would eventually collapse under pressure, and the universe, or destiny, or whatever higher order you believe in, is more invested in long-term alignment than temporary reunion. So this silent transformation is strengthening their emotional muscles, teaching them patience, teaching them communication, teaching them the value of choosing consciously rather than reacting impulsively. And perhaps you have noticed that when you think of them now it feels different, less anxious, more grounded, less desperate, more trusting, and that shift within you mirrors the shift within them. Because soulmate transformations are rarely one-sided, they ripple through both energies, encouraging both individuals to rise to a higher standard of love. And as they rise they are shedding comparisons, shedding external validation, shedding the need to prove anything to anyone, because when someone becomes secure within themselves they no longer seek applause, they seek authenticity. And authenticity draws them naturally toward the person who saw their potential before they fully recognized it themselves, and that person is you. And even if they have not yet expressed it outwardly, internally they are acknowledging the significance of your presence in their journey. They are realizing that your patience was strength, that your boundaries were wisdom, that your depth was not intensity but sincerity, and this recognition is dissolving confusion, it is clearing emotional fog, it is replacing hesitation with intention, and when intention replaces hesitation, action eventually follows, but action born from transformation is deliberate, not rushed, steady, not erratic. And when they do step forward, you will notice the difference immediately, because their words will align with their behavior, their promises will align with their effort, their affection will align with their consistency, and that alignment is the clearest sign that the silent transformation has matured into readiness. And until that moment arrives, trust that what is happening beneath the surface is far more powerful than what appears on it. Trust that silence does not mean stagnation. Trust that distance does not mean disinterest. Trust that sometimes the most profound shifts occur when nothing visible seems to be changing, because roots grow in darkness before trees rise into light. And your soulmate is strengthening their roots right now, building emotional resilience, building spiritual clarity, building the courage required to love without self-sabotage, and when they emerge from this phase, they will not just be someone who feels connected to you, they will be someone who understands why that connection matters, someone who values it, protects it, and chooses it with awareness rather than impulse, and that is the true purpose of this silent transformation, to convert potential into preparedness, attraction into devotion, and connection into a conscious partnership capable of weathering not only moments of passion but seasons of challenge, growth, and shared evolution. As this silent transformation reaches even deeper into your soulmate's inner world, something profound begins to stabilize within them, because the chaos that once defined their emotional landscape is slowly being replaced by clarity, and clarity changes everything. It changes how they interpret the past, it changes how they respond in the present, and it changes what they are willing to accept in the future. And right now they are revisiting memories not with nostalgia alone but with understanding. They are seeing situations from a higher perspective, recognizing where fear influenced their choices, where insecurity shaped their reactions, where timing was not aligned with maturity, and instead of blaming circumstances or other people, they are beginning to take ownership of their journey. And ownership is a powerful milestone in any transformation because it marks the shift from victimhood to responsibility, and once a person accepts responsibility, they gain power, the power to change patterns, the power to correct mistakes, the power to choose differently moving forward, and your soulmate is stepping into that power quietly, without announcements, without dramatic gestures, but with internal decisions that are reshaping their future, and one of those decisions is the decision to no longer run from depth, because depth once intimidated them, it felt overwhelming. It demanded emotional exposure that they were not ready to offer, but now they understand that shallow connections leave them feeling empty, that distractions only delay fulfillment, that temporary excitement cannot replace genuine compatibility, and as this realization settles in their heart, they begin to value what they once underestimated. They begin to see that the connection they share with you was not intense by accident, it was meaningful by design. It challenged them, it stretched them. It revealed parts of themselves they had never explored, and although that level of vulnerability once felt risky, it now feels necessary, because growth has expanded their emotional capacity, and with expanded capacity comes the ability to hold love without feeling threatened by it, and this is where the silent transformation becomes sacred, because they are not just changing habits, they are expanding consciousness, they are elevating standards, they are redefining partnership. And in this redefinition they are asking themselves deeper questions such as what kind of partner do I truly want to be, what kind of love feels sustainable, what kind of future aligns with my authentic self, and as they answer these questions honestly the image that forms in their mind increasingly includes stability, emotional intelligence, mutual respect, and shared purpose, qualities that resonate strongly with what you represent, and even if they have not reached out yet there is movement in their spirit, movement in their mindset, movement in their intentions, because transformation eventually seeks expression, it cannot remain hidden forever, and as they continue evolving they are releasing comparison, releasing pride, releasing the need to appear unaffected, because they now understand that pretending indifference only delays genuine happiness, and happiness for them is no longer defined by excitement alone but by peace, and peace is something they associate with you more than they may have admitted before. And that association grows stronger as their inner noise quiets, as their ego softens, as their fears lose authority, and there may be moments when they feel an unexpected wave of missing you, not from loneliness but from recognition, recognition of what felt real, recognition of what felt aligned, recognition of what felt safe in a way they were not yet prepared to receive, and those waves are not random, they are signals that their transformation is integrating the truth of their feelings rather than suppressing them. And as integration deepens their desire to approach you from a place of wholeness increases, because they no longer want a connection built on confusion or inconsistency, they want something steady, something intentional, something that reflects the maturity they have fought internally to develop, and while this process takes time it builds permanence, because change that is rushed often collapses under pressure but change that is cultivated in silence becomes resilient. And your soulmate is becoming resilient, emotionally grounded, spiritually aware, mentally disciplined in ways that will support not just reunion but longevity, and you may notice that your own intuition feels calmer, less anxious, more trusting, because on an energetic level you sense that something solid is forming even if you cannot see it yet, and that calmness is not denial, it is alignment. It is your inner knowing recognizing that the transformation underway is real and purposeful. And when two souls are meant to evolve together there are seasons of separation that serve preparation rather than punishment, and this is one of those seasons, a season where both of you are refining yourselves so that when paths fully merge again the foundation is stronger than before, and the version of your soulmate that emerges from this silent transformation will not resemble the one who hesitated or withdrew, it will be someone who understands timing, who respects depth, who values emotional safety, who chooses communication over confusion, and who recognizes that love is not just a feeling but a commitment to growth. And when they stand before you with this new awareness you will feel the difference not only in their words but in their presence, because presence carries frequency, and their frequency will be steadier, warmer, more intentional, and that steadiness will answer questions that silence once created, proving that the quiet transformation you could not see was shaping a future far more aligned than the past you once questioned. As this silent transformation approaches its most defining stage, your soulmate begins to experience a powerful internal alignment that feels almost like awakening from a long emotional sleep, because the confusion that once clouded their judgment is dissolving and in its place there is a steady awareness of what truly matters, and what truly matters to them now is no longer temporary validation, fleeting excitement, or ego-driven choices, but emotional authenticity, spiritual compatibility, and a connection that feels both passionate and peaceful at the same time. And this awareness did not arrive overnight. It was carved through reflection, through loneliness, through moments of confronting their own inconsistencies, and through recognizing that running from depth only delayed their own happiness. And now that recognition has matured into readiness, not the impulsive readiness that seeks instant gratification, but the grounded readiness that understands responsibility, because they are no longer asking themselves whether love is safe, they are asking themselves whether they are prepared to protect and nurture it. And that shift in question changes everything. It shifts them from seeker to builder, from uncertain to intentional, from emotionally reactive to emotionally conscious. And as they step into this new mindset, they also begin forgiving themselves for the past, forgiving themselves for hesitation, for mixed signals, for times they did not show up fully, because guilt once weighed on them, but growth has taught them that self-forgiveness is necessary to move forward without repeating the same cycle. And with forgiveness comes courage, the courage to admit what they truly feel, the courage to approach you not with pride but with sincerity, the courage to risk vulnerability because they now understand that vulnerability is not weakness but connection in its purest form. And while all of this has been happening quietly beneath the surface, there will come a moment when the internal shift becomes external action, because transformation seeks expression, it seeks embodiment, and they will no longer be satisfied keeping their evolution private when it involves someone who has been central to their awakening. And when that moment arrives, you will sense a different energy in them, not rushed, not chaotic, not uncertain, but steady, deliberate, and calm, as if they finally understand the value of moving with intention rather than impulse. And their communication will reflect this maturity. Their words will carry weight, their tone will carry clarity, their presence will carry assurance, and you will notice that the fear that once created distance has been replaced with a quiet confidence, because they now know what they want and they know why they want it. And what they want is not fantasy but partnership, not drama but depth, not control but collaboration. And this clarity has been earned through the very silence that once confused you, because in that silence they were rebuilding themselves, aligning their identity with their heart, aligning their actions with their truth, aligning their future with the person who inspired them to become better. And you have played a silent role in this transformation as well, because sometimes the absence of someone powerful reveals their significance more clearly than their constant presence. And through that absence they recognized your impact, your authenticity, your emotional depth, your steadiness, and those qualities now stand out in contrast to everything superficial they once entertained. And contrast is a teacher. It shows what feels empty and what feels meaningful, and your connection with them has proven meaningful in a way that cannot be easily replaced or ignored. And as they internalize this truth, they also release the last remnants of doubt, because doubt cannot survive sustained self-awareness. And once doubt fades, determination takes its place. And determination leads to action, and that action will not feel forced or dramatic but natural, almost inevitable, as if all the pieces that were once scattered have finally arranged themselves into alignment. And when they approach you from this transformed state, it will not feel like restarting something fragile but like beginning something stronger, because both of you have evolved. Both of you have faced your individual lessons. Both of you have grown beyond the versions that once struggled to meet in the middle, and now the middle ground feels clearer, healthier, more balanced. And the beauty of a silent transformation is that it creates depth without spectacle. it builds strength without applause, it forms character without performance, and your soulmate's character has been reshaped in ways that will support a love that is stable rather than sporadic, communicative rather than confusing, present rather than distant, and as this new chapter begins, you will realize that the waiting was not wasted time but preparation, the silence was not abandonment but construction, the distance was not rejection but refinement, because everything that has unfolded was guiding both of you toward a union that is chosen consciously rather than stumbled into accidentally, and when love is chosen consciously it carries power, it carries endurance. It carries the ability to grow through challenges rather than collapse under them, and that is the ultimate purpose of this silent transformation, to ensure that when your paths fully intertwine again it is not just because you feel connected but because you are ready, aligned, emotionally equipped, spiritually aware, and committed to nurturing something that has already proven strong enough to survive silence, growth, distance, and time.